Good morning. I've been asked a number of times how I make my needle case with the spool holder in the middle. So today I'm going to walk you through how I do that. My front zipper section here, I sandwich the zip between the main fabric. So lay the main fabric face down with your zipper right side up and then your lining. And then I just stitch down there with my zipper foot with a 1/4 inch seam. As I'm sewing it, I use my tweezers and just pull my zip out and make sure all my 3 layers are lined up on the edge. Flip them open and then top stitch down. I've made in the measurements these 2 pieces be equal. You can choose whether they're equal, whether you want one side bigger than the other, however you want it to be. Then trim it back so that it's the same size as your lining for this piece. So your lining right side up, this section on the top. The next piece to put on is this is your little spool section. You'll notice mine's quilted. That's just because it was left over from something else and I'm going to use it. So I'm going to turn that around so you can see. So then once I've got that together, then I would just stitch that on there, open it out. Then the lining for the felt piece for your needles to go in, pop that on there, 1/4 inch seam again, fold it out, put your felt section on. Then your flap section, so all of those right sides together, stitch down with your 1/4 inch. Then I iron my seam to the felt section and top stitch that down. That just allows your flap to fold better. The spool section, I've set in the requirements 12 inches by 1 inch. And I've made a separate video called Zipper Pull Drawstring and Spool Holder to show you how I made those. This section here on mine is 8.5 inches and the bottom piece is 2.5 inches. So this is longer than I wanted, and when I said 12 inches by 1 inch, you only need to neaten one end. So then I would just cut off the 2.5 inches off the other end and pop that on there, or whatever length you want that to be. So that just I put my piece through the loop at the bottom, then just tie a knot like so to keep that spool in there. This felt piece, I've sewn this piece is 3/4 inch bigger so that when it folds back I get like a self-binding on it. You can top stitch down there if you want to. Then my outside piece, if this is not how you want it to be and it doesn't quite measure up, trim either or back to whatever you want it to be. This is your needle case, however size you want it to be. If you want that to be bigger, I've made this one in particular this size so that it fits into this bag for me. Once you've got the two, just put the 2 on top of each other and bind the edge. I've done my binding on the bias because I've rounded my corners here. You can have square corners if you want. This end is square and I've just done normal binding, how I would put a binding on a quilt. There is a video showing how I do my binding if you want to check out that one. I've made this one with just a little flap like that. I've put a sew-in clip on that one and it's just got a zipper section and your felt. you can choose which side you want your felt to go on and change that around. This one doesn't have a closure at all, and this one, yes, it's still got a sew-in clip on it. So you can use sew-in clips or these ones that you put in. So I've marked the middle there, then used my little piece, drawn a line in the two sections there, snipped those on the line. So I just used my scissors and just did a little snip. Put this one in. Put your washer thing on the back and then open out your if when you're sewing your binding on and one or the other is too close, then I would just use like my ruler and sit underneath my sewing foot, and that'll help it come past where your magnetic clip is. So the other section of this will go onto this piece here on my lining. When I do that, I will put that on the lining, and I would just, because I've only got one piece of fabric, I'll just put a piece of wadding underneath to stop those prongs coming through to the front. Hoping that will help you to be able to make one of these. If not, please feel free to ask me any questions.